Hi everyone, Mr. Neighbor here, and today we're going to talk about how to answer problems in significant figure format. So doing a calculation and writing that answer with the appropriate significant figures. We use significant figures because sometimes our measuring tools aren't precise, or we get one number from one person, a different number from a different person, and when we're doing a calculation with these two numbers, we have to be as honest as we possibly can be and say how precise we are. If we get one value that is super precise because they're very careful measuring, and another one that wasn't, to be honest, we have to say our calculation is accurate to this guy, the one that is not as precise, if we do calculations with both of them. So this is a way to be honest in the scientific world. Significant figures are a way to be honest, to tell how precise you actually are. So there are two different rules you need to know about: rules for addition and subtraction problems and rules for multiplication and division problems. So first off, addition and subtraction. For those types of problems, we go to the least precise placeholder. So in this first problem, we have a ruler and it measures to the 10th spot, and we get out 4.0. We also have someone else using a different ruler that measures to the 100th spot. So the least precise place value is right here, the 10th spot. So our answer, even though it's negative 1.45 exactly, we have to be the least precise. So this is approximately negative 1.5. We go to the same place value as the least precise, the 10th spot. Let's try another one. 100 minus 99.001. The least precise placeholder out of these two would be the 100 spot. So this has to be written in terms of 100ths. Unfortunately, that's not possible. So you would just write this as an answer of 0. You could do, actually the best way would be 0 times 10 to the, it doesn't really matter, 10 to the first. That shows only one place value and it's 0. I was thinking that I could do something like 0, but technically that point signifies these 3 zeros as significant. So we don't want that. All right, let's try another one. Let me box that one. 890 plus 2. So the least precise would be the 10th spot. So I have to round to this spot. So the answer actually comes out to be the first number that we started with, 890. That 2, it didn't even really matter. Why do we even bother adding it? So that's addition and subtraction problems. You go to the least precise place value. Now, for the second type, multiplication and division, you count the number of sig figs, and that's how many sig figs your answer is going to have. I think this one's easier. So for example, here I have 2 sig figs. Here I have 3 sig figs. This is the one that has less sig figs, so my answer has to have that many. So my answer could be written as 60 point, and then I'm done. If I just wrote 60 without that decimal point right there, that would be only 1 sig fig. I should put a little dot to say approximately. I also could write it as 6.0 times 10 to the second. Oops, to the first. Just kidding, that would make it 60. Sometimes you have to do scientific notation in order to get the right amount of sig figs. So make sure you check to see if you need to use scientific notation. It's there for a reason. All right, next one, 100 divided by 62. We see 1 sig fig here. We see 2 sig figs here. So my answer will only have 1 significant figure in it. So that means I have to round to this place value. Looking at the 6, it's going to round that up to be 2. So this is approximately the number 2. Remember, it seems like it's really far off, but we don't know if this number's already been rounded. Maybe it was 140 and they rounded it down to be 100. Maybe it was 120 and we rounded it down to be 100. So it might be closer to the real value, but you don't know. You really don't. So you just have to go with it. Go with the sig figs. Here we have 3 significant figures, 3 significant figures. So they're both 3. That means this one has to have 3. So 1, 2, 3. So I will have a value of approximately 7,940. Got to round that 3 up. I can't put a decimal point there, otherwise it would be 4. I could write this as 7.94 times 10 to the third if I really wanted to. Either of those would be correct. And lastly, I wanted to throw one of these complex ones in there because there's someone that always asks about it. They don't come up very often though. But the question is, what happens if you have multiplication or division and addition or subtraction in the problem? How do you tackle that? You tackle it one step at a time, and you start with what you would do with orders of operation, which is multiplication and division in this case. So division's coming first. So to divide these two, I get out this number over here. So if I just had that, what would be the significant figures for this answer? Well, here I have 2. Here I have 3. Because it's a multiplication and division problem, I'm looking at how many sig figs it has, and I'm taking the least amount of it. So this one's going to have 2 sig figs, so it's going to go to right there. I'll be rounding to right there. This has 5 sig figs. So over here, when I go to addition and subtraction, this is an addition problem, I take the least precise place value. So here's a place value of hundredths. Here's a place value of tens. So just because it goes to this number, I look at its place value as if I did the sig figs already. Now I don't actually do them though, because I want the best answer possible, because I did have some good data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these 2 numbers to get out this. Now is the time where I'll look at this being my place value where I have to round to. So the answer that I will get out is approximately 570, or 5.7 times 10 to the second. So you just tackle things in order. If you see parentheses, you do whatever's in parentheses first. So maybe that's your addition and subtraction at that time. Then comes multiplication after it. So you treat them individually, and then you eventually combine them back. You don't ever do the sig figs until the very end. You just kind of mark out where you will have to round. So you shouldn't have that too often, but there's an example if you need it. Just break it down into pieces.